Hello, my name's Ben Brain. In this video lesson I'm going to show you 3 great ways to get creative with curves. First, we're going to look at this image and add a solarized effect, skewing the black and white tones. Then we're going to take this image here and we're going to add a toy camera feel by adding a cross-processed look to skew the colours and also add some little red and orange light leaks. And then finally I'm going to show you how to get a split tone effect that you can see in this image here. Okay, so let's click onto our start image, double click to open in the Photoshop interface. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is just create an adjustment layer to make our image black and white, get rid of the color information. Just going to hit this icon here just to make the body a little bit lighter. You can see I can just move that to the right. Let's go back to our layers panel, and this time we're going to get creative with the curves adjustment layer. And this really is an unbelievably quick and simple technique that replicates the solarized effect which some photographers have enjoyed in the traditional darkroom. So normally our default setting on the curves is to have these points here where you can just pull and grab the curve, as you can see there, to affect your tones. What we're going to do is just change to this icon here where we can draw. So you can see I can just literally draw on my curve there. So let's just reset that. And to get the solarized look is really unbelievably simple. All we're going to do is hold down Shift and just anchor a point down here on the bottom left. Then we're going to move up to the very middle of our histogram up there to get this diagonal line going up to the middle, and then make another point down here. So we're just making an inverted V. And there you can see that that has actually recreated the solarized look. Some images work a little bit better than others, so you might want to just tweak this a little bit. But essentially, an inverted V made with the draw to modify the curve icon set is a spectacularly good way of replicating the solarized technique. Okay, for our next technique we're going to replicate the toy camera look, get the cross-processed feel with the skewed colours, and also add a few little light leaks in at the edges. So let's go to our start image, which you can see here. Double click to open in the CS5 window. Okay, this is a little bit more complex than the solarizing technique. We're going to use 4 curve adjustment layers in total with a few masks as well. So let's get started with the first one, and for this one we're going to just replicate the cross-processed look. So let's dive into the channels here. You see the RGB at the top here. We can just access the specific channels here, and this is how we can skew some of the colors, because you see how now our histogram and our line here has turned to red, reflecting the fact that we're in the red channel. So skewing the colors is quite good fun, and we can do that by just pulling these lines here. You can see if I stretch that right up there, we're getting a lot redder in our highlights and less so in our shadow areas. Now I'm just going to grab the green channel and I'm going to add a similar type curve. Good thing about the cross-process look is it's totally unpredictable, and so you can pretty much get away with whatever you want, and you'll find that this effect works. You'll have different configurations of your red, green and blue curves with different images to get different effects. And for this one I'm just going to pull this down so we get a nice sort of greeny, yellow greeny hue, which I think just works quite well with this image, but this is subjective, so you can change it. If we go back to our RGB, you can now see that we got this very fancy looking cross-processed curves here. So that's great for this one. Let's go back to our layers, and of course we can always re-edit that at any stage. Now let's just create another curves adjustment layer, and this time I'm going to dive in again to the specific color channels. This time I'm just going to get a really red, yellow, punchy look, because this is for the light leak. So first of all, let's go to the red channel, and I'm just going to really crank that all the way sort of over there. You can see, whoops, you can see how sort of radical that is. And then let's go down to the blue and just make that really yellow like that. Okay, don't worry too much because we will be adding some masks too. Okay, so there we go, the first of our 2 layers. As you can see, each adjustment layer has its own mask, and for this mask I'm just going to hit Control I and to fill it with black, so we're totally hiding it. Then I'm going to select a brush from my tools panel and make sure that my foreground color is set to white. I've got a good mid-sized soft white round brush there, and I'm going to just move the opacity down to about 80. Now I'm just going to mark where my light leaks are going to come in, so you can see there. And again, this is quite sort of subjective really. You can just play around and really go for it. Can crank that up just a little bit just to get a slightly more intensity to the color, to the red. And there you go. Just adding some basic light leaks, which are looking pretty good already. Okay, so the next adjustment layer I'm going to do is going to be to just darken the corners. So let's just go to curves again. This time a nice simple one. Just going to darken the whole image like this. And again, just going to invert my mask so that it's all black. I'm just going to make an even bigger brush and just darken some of those corners, just because we're getting some nasty vignetting that again is characteristic of some toy cameras. So you can see it's just beginning to sort of come together a little bit there. And then we're just going to add one more adjustment layer, and again I'm just going to darken the shadow areas here. So I'm just going to grab a point about there, and then I'm going to just make another point there, so we're just making the shadow areas look a little bit darker. And you can see we can just preview that, just that nice high contrast look. And there you have it. Using nothing but curves and a couple of adjustment layer masks, we can create this really cool effect. For our final technique, I'm going to show you how to add a split tone effect. So let's go and open our black and white image into CS5, and let's create another adjustment layer for the curves. And this time, let's just pull this over here so we can see what we're going to do. We're going to use these eyedroppers so that we can sample specific areas, specific colors to the blacks and the whites. So let's show you how to do that. Just double click, and now we can just sample a color. So this is the color that we want to sort of reset our black to. So I'm going to choose this nice rich blue and click OK. Save that. And now if I hit in a black area or a shadow area, we can see now that that's reset that to that blue that we've just set. Now let's do the same again with the highlights, and I think that's actually not far off what we want. And so we're again just specifying a color now for our highlights, our white point. So let's click OK. Yes. And let's choose an area like the eye here, which is nice and white, and we can put that color to there. And now you can see that the highlights are now being affected by the warmer, lighter, yellowy colors, and the shadow areas and the darker tones are being affected by the dark blue hue. And this is a great way to replicate that split toned effect.